Good morning. Welcome to the Thursday edition of our weekly briefing. I'm Barrett Smith, a senior service hydrologist with the National Weather Service here in Raleigh. And we're providing a weather briefing starting today, Thursday, and goes through the middle of next week. First, want to start off with, as usual, on Thursdays, the National Drought Monitor is released. This ends as of this past Tuesday. It was released on Thursday, and our partners at the State Climate Office always produce this wonderful graphic to kind of explain what's going on. The latest drought monitor indicates a few areas of abnormally dry conditions, mainly across northeastern North Carolina and some areas of the southern Piedmont. We remember that June was relatively cool for the time of the year, and we had some rainfall events. But since then, in July, it was notably warm, and some areas have missed out on rainfall. Again, areas around Nash County showing up as having some rainfall deficits, and I think the area that really has missed out is the southern Piedmont. There's some locations down there that over the past 4 to 6 weeks have only received, three-quarters of an inch of rain. And so, those drought conditions are potentially going to occur in the next few weeks. If we don't get more rainfall, we'll see in the forecast that there's not a lot of rain to help that. Drought can occur, of course, on a bigger scale, but it also can be county, city, and even down to kind of the farm scale level. So we always encourage anyone who's in the area, especially down there in the southern Piedmont, if you have any feedback on the conditions, we welcome those. There's different ways that you can provide that, but again, it's sometimes hard for us to get the real impacts on the ground, and we're always looking for those and trying to stay ahead of drought conditions. So again, no drought actually being observed, but we do have some areas that are abnormally dry. Moving on to current conditions and the forecast. If you're out in the western Piedmont, you're probably seeing some light rain. There's been some light rain off and on around Winston-Salem, Greensboro. This is associated with a couple of disturbances that are coming in from the Missouri and Tennessee valleys. Most of this is very light. There's been no thunderstorms, no lightning with this, and it is generally weakening as it moves into some drier air over the Piedmont. It actually feels pretty nice outside today. And so again, we'll see this kind of continue through the afternoon, kind of just eking to the east, weakening as it does move east. And then as we move into later this evening and tomorrow, there's some other disturbances that weren't visible on that radar image back out kind of to the west of Nashville. The main thunderstorm complex associated with that is expected to dive down south of our area and miss us, but we will see these showers and maybe an isolated thunderstorm tend to shift across southern North Carolina today and tonight. And then we finally get a cold front that moves through the area on Saturday, and then a weak coastal low that may develop along that front and kind of move up the coastal area Saturday and into Sunday. So for the latter half of this week and into the weekend, we may see some showers off and on tonight and tomorrow. Most areas could end up being dry or only get a very little bit of rainfall. But again, with the coastal low, areas over eastern North Carolina, that forecast can change, and we could see some additional showers there. On the whole, not expecting a lot of rainfall over the next couple of days. As we head towards later in the weekend, the heat and humidity does return, and so we could see some heat indices above 100 as we head towards Sunday and into Monday. And with that as well, we'll see the return of showers and thunderstorms across the area before another cold front moves into the area by the middle of next week. So again, some chances of showers and maybe an isolated storm. Not a lot of rainfall. It's a somewhat uncertain forecast because none of the forcing for this is very strong, and things could change over the next couple of days, but we are not expecting any great impacts from this. If you look at the thunderstorm outlook, again, this is just the light green is just general thunder today and tomorrow, shifting across southern North Carolina on Saturday. Not expecting any severe weather, however, through the next few days. I mentioned the rainfall. The heavier rainfall today is likely to be out in the mountains and the foothills. Really only a tenth to maybe a quarter of an inch in the western Piedmont. Lighter amounts to the east. That shifts down through to the south tonight and tomorrow. Coastal areas could see some additional rainfall on Saturday. When you look at the 5-day totals and even out to the 7-day, which is not shown here, we're really looking at less than ½ an inch for central North Carolina. Not much to help out the abnormally dry conditions I just showed. And but again, this could change over the next couple of days as we see where that coastal low develops. No excessive rainfall expected as well. The image on the left for today does show a marginal risk out in the Triad area. We've since coordinated with the Weather Prediction Center on that, and that is likely going to shift back to the west. We're not thinking that areas in the western Piedmont have any risk of seeing excessive rainfall or flooding. Looking at the tropics, we did see a period of active tropical activity in the Atlantic over the past week or so. None of that came anywhere near the U.S., but there were several disturbances out there that the Hurricane Center was watching. We've since kind of trended back into a quieter period, and so no tropical cyclones are expected over the next 7 days. Now looking out beyond next Wednesday, more towards later next week and into next weekend, you can see that we have a slight tilt towards above normal temperatures, and as well the same thing for rainfall, a slight tilt towards above normal precipitation. Neither of these are very high probabilities. We would generally expect that we'll be near to just maybe slightly above normal during this period. And then finally, I wanted to show one more graphic. This is the Global Tropical Hazards Outlook. This is from the Climate Prediction Center. It's been available for quite a while. I don't know how often we've shown it in our briefings here, but I did want to focus. There's a new experimental tropical cyclone formation probability in week 3. It's always been there for week 2, and it's now an experimental in week 3. And the reason I'll show this, and I've put a red box around the Atlantic, this is for the entire global tropical area, but I put a red box around the tropics. You can see on week 2 on the top, August 9th through 15th, there's no red and white hashed area out there that would indicate any above normal tropical activity. But as we shift towards week 3, which is August 16th through 22, we do see that hatched red and white area out over the Atlantic, and that's a greater than 20% chance of tropical cyclone formation. Again, not a very high probability, but it does look like while we were in a period of active weather in the tropics, we've kind of gotten quiet again. We do think after the middle of the month that those probabilities will increase again. So again, just to give some general awareness as we head towards the peak of the hurricane season, we're going to get a lot of questions about what we're expecting. And for now, we're not expecting much in the next couple of weeks, but there is some chance that we'll see that activity increase again later in August. So finally, to summarize, intermittent showers over the western Piedmont today. That's going to shift down to the south. Anyone could see a little bit of light rain, but we think the heavier amounts will be in the western and southern Piedmont areas. Then we get a cold front for the weekend, maybe a coastal low. Again, not a lot of rainfall from it. So overall, relatively dry over the next few days. The heat and humidity do return as we head later in the weekend and into early next week. So we'll be watching that for any impacts. And then another cold front and some additional rain possible by the middle of next week. I appreciate everyone joining our Thursday edition of our weekly briefing, and we look forward to talking to you again on Monday.